Good evening, councillors. Good evening to all our staff members here and to our special guests tonight. Welcome to our Hewitt Centre. I think that we're very proud of, and we're very proud of the whole region down here. It's rather interesting to meet here. The acoustic is a little bit different. I hope we don't have any problems tonight with that, but we'll do our best. I'm all over the sound. I've got the hearing aids on. The microphone's going, so you can't even whisper, and I'm not here. So hopefully we've got a big agenda, some really interesting topics on there, and some great reports to wade through. So I'll open our meeting in our traditional manner, that we would like to acknowledge the Ngadjuri and the Kaurna people, the traditional custodians of the land and the waters of the Lone Regional Council area. We pay our respects to their elders, past, present and emerging, and extend that respect to other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who are present today. Does that sound okay, folks?
Okay.
Do we have any apologies? Tonight's meeting? We don't, but we do have a request for a leave of absence from Councillor Emery from the date of the 29th of October to the 10th of November. Would someone want to move that way? Would you accept that leave of absence? Thanks, Councillor Michael and Councillor Bill. All those in favour? And against, that's carried. Enjoy your time on Lake House, Alison. We move on now to the confirmation of our council minutes. The first recommendation is that the minutes of the confidential meeting of the ordinary council meeting held Tuesday 24th of September 2024 be confirmed as a true and correct record of that meeting. Would someone like to move that way? Thanks, Councillor Michael and Councillor Ellison. All those in favour? Those against, that's carried, Mr. Councillors. We move on now to our communications, and the first one was is mine as Mayor. The sad news is a very dear friend and friend of our region, Mr. Ross Boat, passed away on the 28th, pardon me, it wasn't Monday the 28th of October, it can't be, that's the funeral day. He passed away very recently anyway, at the age of almost 102. It's fair to say that Ross Boat gave his life to Kipunda and the region here, and was a great contributor to many, many things that we are still will be a legacy for ever, including the Kipunda Museum, who he was the instigator of that in the very beginning. And very much of the items that are in that museum belong to Ross. Ross and my friendship go back many years. When I first came over here was to apply for a job as a part-time tourist officer with the old Kipunda Council. Ross was on the panel that appointed me. I don't know if that was a good thing for the region or a bad thing, but he was on that panel, so our connection dated back nearly 30 years. So, you know, I always Ross a lot. His funeral will be at the Kipunda Institute on Monday afternoon at 2 p.m. and I'm sure there'll be a huge attendance at that funeral. Interestingly though, Ross has never been our Citizen of the Year. Quite extraordinary. His wife Grace was some time ago, and I think maybe a lot of people looked at the ball and seen those up there automatically assuming it was Ross. No, it wasn't. It was his wife Grace, who was a lovely woman. Ross did, however, accept the Mayor's Inspiration Award 3 years ago at Greenock, and that was an occasion which certainly brought a tear to my eye, talking about Ross's past and what he'd done to a very, very large audience. A lovely morning. I had an interesting time, certainly at Wasney's, almost 2 days in a row. I went over there for the unveiling of their wonderful monument to the soldiers called Charlie. And Charlie's the great a great design and sits prominently in the main street. Underneath Charlie is a time capsule. Also, that same area there, which is where they have their Anzac ceremonies, etc., is a chair that our council donated to the Wasps community. Now, I must say, there's only one word that you can describe that chair as beautiful. It is absolutely an outstanding chair. I thought it's from a little bench. It's more than a little bench. It's absolutely fantastic, and the community there are in love with it already. So they've got a really lovely little area now in front of their institute where the wreaths can be laid on Anzac Day and all the other occasions where it's required, and it's right in the main street. It's fantastic. Also, their little school there turned 150. And I had the good fortune of being able to talk to some of the kids before NOEGs started, and to a child, so well mannered and so well presented, all of it. It was fantastic. There's only 50 of them in that school, but it's a credit to the community and it's certainly a credit to the teachers and the students themselves. They were excellent. And I thoroughly enjoyed that. I was a bit apprehensive going at first, but soon got away. The Pines Conservation Reserve continues to be well managed, and Councillor Dean has been secretary of that for many, many years. And the thought was to perhaps have Ross Boat's funeral at Pines, because he was a great benefactor to that particular conservation reserve, but for all sorts of reasons and more practical reasons at the Institute. But Ross put in a considerable effort, both monetary wise and in efforts work. The media interviews, they continue. We're getting better. We've spoken with the leader and wondering why we're not featuring the media quite as much as we used to. I think we've worked through the issues that may have arisen for that reason. And we can look forward to the next couple of issues about being a little bit more about like regional council in there. That's about all I have to say apart from opening up the Punta Bowling Club, the bowling season, which is always a pleasure to do that. When I see how effective that bowling green is, pardon me, 55,000 hours of voluntary labour built that with the backing of the council, and the foresight to move the bowling club in the first place from where it was to where it is now. It's an absolute world-class facility, and it gets used almost daily. And before they were using their facility 6 months a year and probably twice a week at the most. So it's excellent, and all sorts of things can happen there, not just playing bowls. You can get married there if you wish. You can get divorced there if you wish. But it's an excellent facility, and it was a pleasure to be there. Any council members like to report any group they were involved with this month? No, if not, we'll move on. We'll move on to our deputation tonight, and that's Ross and Vintage Festival. We all know that's coming up in 25. It'll be on our doorstep before we know it, and it's really a great pleasure tonight to introduce Maz McGann and Rebecca Reynolds, people I've had to deal with over the years, and they are representing across the Village Festival, and they'll talk about what they're having in mind, and probably excite us a little bit, and we'll have an opportunity to ask some questions. So thanks, Rebecca, and thanks, Maz.
Thanks, Bill. I should just say before I start, I actually had the pleasure of meeting Ross Boyd just really recently. I have a little project that I do with the Ross Museum, and two of the volunteers from the Kapunda Museum made a special trip over with him. And they didn't stay for very long, and we had quite a lovely conversation about who was going to come back, but clearly that's not going to be the case for him to come and have another visit. But I digress. Thank you so much for having us here tonight to talk about the Barossa Vintage Festival. I'm Rebecca Reynolds, and I'm delighted to be here with my co-director, Maz McGann. And really the reason that we're here tonight is to ask for your support and your involvement in the Barossa Vintage Festival in 2025. We've done an acknowledgement of country. I just would like to say very quickly that I live on Ngurrtjeri country out the back of Greenock, and I'm really happy to be here on Kaurna land tonight, and I pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging. And it's my hope that for Vintage Festival this year, we can have a great representation from across our community, and that's our traditional owners, our new arrivals, and everybody who's in the middle. So Vintage Festival is very well known, I would say, but it's one of those things that sometimes we talk about our cultural assets, I guess, and we forget that we have to keep telling the story. And I just wanted to quickly give you a short potted history of the Barossa Vintage Festival. For those of you who don't know, 1947 was the first year of the Barossa Vintage Festival, and it came about because there are a couple of businessmen who were looking for an opportunity to have a community event, to lift the spirits of the community after World War II, and to also have a little bit of economic benefit, so to bring visitors to the region and have some and see what happened from there. And I mean, I'm delighted that in 2024, moving into Vintage Festival 2025, actually that spirit of that original festival is still very evident today. We've had some tough times over the last couple of years with COVID and whatever, and this year we've had frost and all sorts of things happening in our farming communities. And it's my hope that Vintage Festival this year will bring some of that hope and celebration to our farming communities as well. There has been a lot of change in that time, and obviously organisationally as well. We've had Vintage Festival has ended up being held or under the umbrella across Australia, and my colleague Maz McGann did a review of the Vintage Festival just last year. I don't know whether you want to touch quickly on what that review was.
So the review was a really important moment in time just to check in on the festival to see how it's travelling in the minds not only of the community but also various stakeholders that are involved. And I guess just a couple of key findings that I wanted to raise out of that were that the festival is still held very much in the hearts of all people across the region, Barossa and surrounding communities. Even into the city, we have some visitors that still come from Queensland every festival, and there's a great commitment to it. And the community are very have a great deal of ownership over the festival, which is fantastic. So there have been some ups and downs in the last few years. There's been a lot of change. It's been the various organisations have had custodianship of the organisation or of the festival. So it was nice to sort of get a sense that despite all of that, that the community still loved it and cherished it. There was also a sense that there's a great deal of potential in the festival still. It hasn't fully realised its potential, which was interesting. There's a lot of work or a lot of potential for it to grow and to develop further. And the third finding, I guess, which is really important, was around that sort of dual nature of the festival. So whilst it is very much around attracting visitors to the region, it has an economic basis to that, and around bringing visitors here and to sleep in our hotel rooms and eat in our restaurants. It also has a very important community role in bringing people together, providing a great social outing, and providing that sort of sense of community around heritage and celebration. So really important sort of findings for us, and it's a great foundation for us moving forward.
So I'll let you read. I mean, this, the vision and purpose of the Vintage Festival, it is that it's ongoing, that it's where community and business can come together to celebrate the vintage, the harvest, and to share the best of our culture, produce and hospitality with friends and visitors from all over the world. And that's local, that's our visitors in our surrounding areas, that's Adelaide, that's interstate, that's overseas. I just want to have a quick look now and at a bit of a snapshot, I guess, the impact of the festival, and these stats are taken from Vintage Festival 2023. So some of the things will hopefully be similar for this year. It'll be a 5-day event. In 2023, there were 5 hallmark events. We're hoping to have 7 hallmark events, actually. There were 64 events registered, 54,000 attendances, an audience reach of 730,000. We had a larger media reach than that, over 3 million impressions, and a tourism spend of about 14.7 million is how it was estimated. And that, you know, when we think of Light Regional Council as being 46% of the cost of GI, we would really hope that a good percentage of that economic spend and those really positive outcomes would be spread in Light Regional Council as well. So one difference this year is that there is a board of management, and that sits with Brothel Australia and then myself and Maz as directors. We've got some goals for the year that I think are important because they sort of speak to where we're going, and they are really that we're hoping to grow the impact and the reach of the festival, and that's across the region and into our neighbouring areas. And we also really want to grow the level of community engagement. We want to increase our impact and our income by 10%, and we're looking to beyond 2025. So we only really came on board in July, and actually April comes around very, very quickly. So we're looking to set things in place so it's not just one festival. Next festival, we've got lots of things to grow on. So really why we're here tonight is to ask for Light Regional Council's support, and that's in terms of partnerships with the Vintage Festival this year. We've gone out to business and government with 3 different tiers. So that's a premier partner, a major partner and a representative partner. We would like to ask Light Council to come on as a major partner. I mean, you're welcome to come on as a premier partner if you would like, but we would really like to see you come on in October 2024 as a major partner, and that would be a 20,000 contribution in both cash and in kind. And the in kind is really important because one thing that councils do have is they do have more staff than Maz and I have. There's only so many things that the 2 of us, even with a lot of goodwill and a lot of effort, can spot. And that's when we start to look at community engagement and increasing that participation in our region. It would be amazing to have some in-kind contribution from Light Regional staff, and that's in our live, that's potentially some library programs, that's with scarecrows. There's all sorts of things that we could really use some help and assistance with. And some of this information, I think, is potentially in the report that you've all received. But we were really happy to see your event strategy that came out earlier this year. And we've just sort of gone through just to highlight quickly some of the areas that we think that the Vintage Festival aligns with that strategy. You can all read them, but I just wanted to particularly draw your attention to the brand alignment. The event encourages vintage celebrations across the region and is definitely an opportunity for Light to brand as both, to shine as both a brand and a destination. The leader is one of our major partners, is our major media partner at the moment, and we think there's lots of opportunities there to, tell stories from across the region. I'd also just like to very quickly draw your attention to the regional dispersal of opportunities for participants. And as I said, we've got a couple of things this year we're really pushing. That's grape stomping, the scarecrow competition, and community theme and wellbeing. What I mean by grape stomping, which is quite a traditional Vintage Festival activity, is we're looking to have mobile grape stomping. So run a grape stomping event every day and have different community groups get involved and compete. That might be our football clubs on the Anzac Day game at Muriupta. It'll certainly be at a big event at the Tanunda Oval, and some other events across the week as well. I think I'm nearly up to my time, so I just wanted to say in closing, we would be delighted to have you on board, and we would really like to work with Light Regional Council and your staff for Vintage Festival going forward. And thank you very much for your time this evening. If you've got any questions, we would be more than happy to answer them.
Councillors, initially, any questions? If not, I have a recommendation perhaps that we consider bringing, which is somewhat of a tradition with our council, 13.1, which is a report for decision in relation to this matter. Bring that forward for discussion now and perhaps resolution. Would someone like to move that way? Councillor Dean? Someone like to second that? Councillor Simon? Any comments, councillors? If not, I'll put the recommendation. Those in favour? Those against? That's carried. And that's on page 51, councillors. You're looking for section 13.1. That's an excellent report from Sky and Corin's team. And he had sent some further backup information to us today that he'd recently put together. Councillors, are there any questions in relation to this report? Thanks, Councillor Simon. Thank you, Councillor Simon. Councillor Gill?
The recommendation says there's a major part of $10,000 that wasn't in the specification.
And yeah, so 10,000 cash and 10,000 in kind, which is 20,000.
Councillor Hill. Further questions, Councillor? I have a mover. Would someone like to second the motion? Councillor Dean, would you like to speak to them?
Yes, I think before it's in the grocery now, council area, we like to get an obligation to support this because it is an iconic regional event with great history and will directly benefit many people in our council area.
Nothing further, Councillor. Any further questions or comments? If not, I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour? Those against? That's carried. And I hope it brings a great stomping competition over here because
We'll get you on board with that. We'd love you to do that, Bill. Definitely. Yeah, we'd love to see you there. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks so much, Rebecca and Manus. Nice to see you both again. Yeah. Councillors, thank you for that. We'll move back into our current meeting agenda, which is section 8.1, our action items. Starting on page 7. Any comments or questions there, councillors? Councillor Michael?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Bill. I was hoping I just noted with the planning and zoning options in the railway precinct, and there's been some re-engagement with DIC just to confirm if there's any change in direction for the lease to go. And with respect, it does feel like it's sort of just tracking along with this, so I just wonder where it's going to come to some resolution. Yeah, I'd like an answer.
We'll come back car and that little voice. I don't know. Be nice to see a train going along there, wouldn't it?
Through the chair, so we've got like some initial response from DIC in terms of they haven't changed their direction on that just yet, but when I reached out to them, it was sort of twofold, looking at the Panda corridor as well as the corridor Worsham Rosewood in the context of the, I guess, like putting shared opportunities. And I felt that I guess the rail asset owners possibly weren't up to speed with, what's in the draft yard. So I've gone back to them just to clarify that position. And I'm also mindful that other arms of the DIC are also looking at transport, strategy in South Australia, which will go out in public consultation shortly. And we had a brief chat with them, via the ANA board meeting last evening. Also raised, what is their direction and their strategy around the rail corridors, not just, up to, say, for example, Roseworthy and beyond Rilla. So that's on their radar. But, I'm still trying to get a response on how they changed their direction and what it has been. So I don't have a categorical answer on that one.
Further questions, councillors? Page 8. Mr. Collins?
So if we just back there, right, that's going to be covered later in the chair review. So,
Clear over.
It's just here.
Anything further on page 8, councillors? If not, we'll move to page 9. Page 10 and 11. Nothing there. We'll move on to our first of our reports. 10 is the infrastructure and sustainability reports. The first one is the infrastructure and environment monthly update. And again, an outstanding report and a lot of information there that does keep us in the know of what's happening and people asking questions. We can give them an answer. We've got it there. So it's obviously a lot of work that people have got to put into to get these outcomes for us, but they're valuable. Are there any questions in relation to this? Councillor Michael.
Thank you, Mayor Bill. Just in relation to the picking up on Councillor Collins' question earlier, just in relation to Clear Road, I just note that there's some discussion here around the durations for obtaining an IFC or progressing the design. I guess a couple of questions around that are that these durations seem excessive in I guess my experience. But the related question is then that is council incurring additional cost by reason of those design delays, or are those design delays costs being incurred by others?
Not this meeting, but you can take that one.
Thank you, through the chair. The costs for the work consultant we are paying for. So if it did require changes, then we are paying for that.
Councillor Ellison.
Thank you, through the chair. Just looking through the Ports Road, can somebody give me an update on what's going on with that discussion road? Through the chair, Ports Road on Thursday night, where it was being and rain, and on Friday when we were raining up to the railway line, it was great the whole way because the contractor for SA Water, we also investigated what it's there for the infrastructure upgrade.
Thank you, Megan. Further questions, councillors? There's one report we might have just overlooked is the biodiversity and sustainability on page 18, Andrew Philpott's report. Anyone's got any comments in relation to that? Councillor Tom, Councillor Collins?
I was just going to ask about the executive. We're not actually requiring it unless, well, I was clear.
Thank you, Megan.
Thank you through the chair. No, I apologise if that wasn't clear. No, what we're actually doing at the moment is the investigation. We're not actually buying anything at this time.
Thanks for the question, councillor Collin. Any further questions in relation to that report? If not, we'll move past Clare Road. The quarterly update in the capital renewal program 10.2, councillors. Any questions there? Another excellent report. Councillor Simon.
Thank you. Through the chair, just one thing that I Sean Allen was that the report about the roundabout the review. This is as a reasonable delay talks about inclement weather. I just thought that was really I don't know what name and barely any rain, but then probably didn't talk about some other incidents that were there. I just wondered why we haven't been so informed of that. I appreciate you. Talk about.
No, thanks, councillor Simon. Thank you, Megan.
Thank you through the chair. The inclement weather actually happened early in the piece. We come on back to start and then it went down board. So we can actually do a lot of work against the drainage. We can wait for it to dry up a little bit. With respect to your question about issue on site, the operational we're not the agenda. They currently we have recorded last 14th. Currently in review the investigation.
Thank you, Megan. Another question, councillor Simon?
One question that hasn't been mentioned. I understand that might be operational, but you talk about things delaying this project. That would be an obvious one that the development project and so on.
Thank you, through the chair. I think this is you're referring to. I think the total delays was about 3 days.
I think those comments will be noted to councillor Simon and anything further, councillors? Councillor Collins?
So, I know the student runs some roads. I noticed he's doing a lot of kilometres quite quickly. Is that we're doing it quicker than we have in the past? If so, why? Probably.
Through the chair, with the resharing roads, we do actually have a contractor assisting us at the moment. Could be the reason that you're referring to. But we've got
What I'm making, last year I think you go about 300 or 400 metres a day. This year you go about 800 to a kilometre. It's a significant increase in the road being laid. So I'm just wondering, that's a great result.
Yeah, thanks, Richard.
Yeah, through the chair, probably historically, I can say 800 is the number that should be the target, and 300 to 400 is definitely a lower number. Probably I would say on roads that might be difficult to get to, but once they get going, yeah, as a rule, 800 to 1,000 tonne a day is what they'll be putting out. Some of that will depend on the ability to get the trucks in there to do the work, but you're quite right, 800 metres a day is about the number.
Thank you. Is there anything further, councillors? Councillor Maracle?
So look, it's great. I will say it's an excellent report as well, thank you. And it's great to see that Bethel Road features in this report, that this progress is now being made on that following the resolution of the council in respect of the budget. But I do have a question, and the question is, will the council be delivering this, or will it market test and look at alternatives?
Well, thank you, Megan.
and thank you through the chair. We've actually got contractors signed up ready to start this work.
Oh, well done. Anything further, councillors? No, we'll move on to, I think 10.2, we're 10.2. Capital renewal program, another fine report. We've got our council officers here too that can support this report as well if necessary. I think there might be 10.3 somewhere here as well as supplementary to this, but I can't find it. Does anyone have that?
No.
10.3? No, I had to rewind. But, obviously we're getting through these roads and seeing action around our communities, which is really wonderful. There's a recommendation on the bottom of page 32 that the council receives the infrastructure and sustainability reports and contents of every noted. Someone like to lead that way? Thanks, Councillor Fabio. Would like to second that? Councillor Beale, all those in favour? Those against, that's carried. Thanks, councillors. Section 11.1 is the strategy and economic development report for October 24. Thank you, Karen. It was a bit late night reading there. Questions, councillors? Comments? Councillor Michael?
Thank you, Mayor Bill. Comment and then a question. I just wanted to say that I thought the Back in Action initiative was really well done. I followed that on social media and it looked like it was a great success, so well done for that. My second point of question is a little different. So I just note reading here in relation to the Roseworthy water scheme that there was a heavy vehicle accident, a heavy vehicle that was destroyed by fire in September and it's damaged some equipment related to the Bunyip scheme or the Roseworthy water scheme, and that's delayed the project by between 12 to 16 weeks. Excuse me. So I guess I have two questions. One is, was anybody injured in that event? The second question is, what impact does that have on the cost of the project? Was that an issue with council?
That might be. Oh, Karen, thank you, Karen.
Yeah, through the chair. To our knowledge, no one was injured, so I think the driver was able to detect fire and exit the vehicle, and that was just the equipment, which was some traffic plant equipment. In terms of cost, there's no cost impact for the council. It is simply just a time delay, so that equipment was due to be installed in November. And we commissioned in November. At this point, it looks like it's going to be in January by the time they see us in your quarterly.
Thank you, Karen. Other question there, Councillor Michael? Oh, no, thank you. Councillor Bill.
It's just page 33 there, meeting with SA Water, Karen, the comment that they were putting a pipeline in but not actually using it. For us, what's going on there, Senator? And one of your officers.
And through the chair, so you're referring to the augmentation of pipeline to service Roseworthy Township extension residential area?
Possible area.
Correct, yes. I mean, our understanding is that they've got funding through the housing roadmap for very specific outcomes, which is residential at this point. So despite the fact that the pipe route is going to go directly past employment plans, they do have a limited budget for their working to. So that's been raised with them and confirmed at this point. I didn't actually attend that meeting, but I think Frank, were you at that one? You might have a final commentary, but essentially that's a limited budget and that's what they're working to. So unless there's an opportunity to get more funding, they'll be putting that pipeline in and they'll come back and augment it at some future stage.
We've got that water here.
Thank you, Karen. Councillor Simon.
Hello. Just a question about the social infrastructure. But it's pretty good to see that all finished and that's not that you have had a chance to look at it. It's a beautiful piece of infrastructure that we're going to get. Hopefully be able to get to use soon. And it says in there that there was some issues with and further complicated by the maintenance agreement passed as we should be college. But then it says there's some learnings that come out of that. Probably actually learn and how we can. And if that's going to happen in the future, we're probably going to do probably with other developments or expansion, or what those learnings are.
Thanks, Councillor Simon. Karen.
Through the chair, so I think, I guess the main learnings, in terms of social infrastructure, I mean, we're very astute at, working with developers to build roads, build more infrastructure and those sort of things. It's sort of run the mill infrastructure. We don't necessarily build ovals every day. So, I guess being as recipients of those assets, sort of consistent oversight of the process to ensure that, every sort of quality checkpoint is followed to the letter. So I think, yeah, I think in the future we could probably have more oversight of those types of works.
Thank you, Karen. Councillor Collins.
This is RDA meeting. It seems that there's a lot of duplication of what we're saying as well. So if you have a lot of people saying it's been done listening with that problem, because this seems to be everyone seems to be changing up on the problems, but there doesn't seem to be any solution for them.
Jerry, I guess that is the challenge with advocacy. We're not the decision makers on many of these things, but we can advocate for outcomes.
Thank you, Karen. Further questions, please? If not, I do have a recommendation halfway down page 36. If someone would like to move that way. That the council receives the dedicated economic development. Councillor Peter, would you like to speak there, Councillor Peter? And Councillor Lynn, would you like to speak to that? Any discussion or comments, councillors? If not, I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour? Those against? That's carried. Thanks, councillors. Count 12.1, Barossa and White Lower North Regional Public Health Plan 22 to 27 progress updates. Pepper, oh, she is here, Pepper. Would you like to talk to your report, or do you think the report speaks for itself? Any questions, councillor? If not, we do have a recommendation. I thought we did. Another report from another area. Additional employment land supplied Freeling and Kapunda. Are there any questions, councillors, in relation to this? Doing a fair bit of work into that too. Councillor Michael.
Thank you, Mayor Bill. It's a very comprehensive report. So well done. I just note that, so I guess what was percolating in my mind was what do we do with the report? At the end of the report, there's a potential way forward that it's not really a recommendation. So I guess the question for the council is, what do we now do with this information? Is it take a potential way forward, or is that open for discussion, or is that happening sometime?
That's a very good question, and it is an excellent report. And it does give us, I'm sure, a lot of background as to what's happening down there in Fleetwood in this respect. I guess it's information that's solid for us to know. But I agree with you, there's not much we can do with it just at this particular point. But it's there, and if any of these matters do arise, what do we do with it? I think we just do it. Is that a reasonable response, Craig and Kyron? Report. Oh, Councillor Collins.
I actually like the motivation from the piece that's pretty quite that council do. The 3 points that are here and its potential way forward, there's 3 points. The only points I'd change is is earlier it's talked about having a consultant do the work. I think it's something to be done in house and sort of investigate what we could do. Actually progress it rather than just let it sit.
That's a fair comment. Any further comments in relation to this report, Councillor? You're suggesting that those 3 points should be a recommendation, Councillor Collins? A motion, I should say. And we have a second. Do you want to talk to it, Councillor Dean? We have a motion that those 3 points are carried out. We have a mover and a second. Any comments or questions? That's the motion that we're discussing. If there are no further questions in relation to that, have a mover and a second. All those in favour? Those against? That's carried. That is the way forward. That adds a little bit of muscle to the report as well. I think it's better than just to sit on the shelf. Thanks, councillors. The next one is our CEO's monthly report, which unfortunately CEO Richard was ill for quite a bit, and it's nice to see him back again. Looks like. Any questions in relation to that, councillors? Section 12.3, monthly report. If not, we'll move on. There's a recommendation there on 12.3 that the reports for information be received in the content series note. Thanks, Councillor Lynn. My apologies, Councillor. Someone second that? Councillor Simon, any discussion either way? Not, I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour? Yes, that's carried. Now we move on to 12.3. We've done that. We've done that. Good. We've done that. Oh, we've done the meeting first, of course, 13.1. I'm just so pleased that we had that discussion with Village Festival in mind. We can get on with it now and be part of it. A fairly important function that happens in our region and affects a lot of people. 13.2, having a state community award projects update. Questions or comments, councillors?
Thank you.
Councillor Lynn?
Yes, I found out who these people are that want to do the community garden, and they are very they're very good at what gardening, and they both work with gardens. And I only found out today that who these 2 people are who are doing it, and I could do with that one. They would do a good job. And so I spoke to Gavin Schuster today to find out whether the Red Park would be willing for them to have access to water. And yes, he said they don't have a problem with it.
because they think that their community thinks that it would be a good thing for Freeling to have a community garden, and placed it where they want to place it alongside the fence. And as you go into the wetlands on the left-hand side, they want to place it there and run a pipe across from the rec park tanks. And Gavin said they don't have a problem with it at all, so they haven't approached him yet, the rec park yet, but he said that when they do, they won't have a problem with it.
Oh, thanks so much, councillor, and that's good news. I mean, a community garden, that they've got many of these in Great Britain all over the place, and they work particularly well, and they often revitalise patches of ground that there's nothing there to start with, and they revitalise it, make it value out of it with the produce they produce. It's probably like an outside men's shed or a shed situation. It brings people together to do something with their time and whatever else. I think it's an excellent concept, and it's great to see it being supported, I hope. There's a recommendation there, about halfway down page 59. Councillor Simon, like to speak on that?
Thanks, yeah, through the chair. I agree with Councillor in its sense of they're very dedicated people, and I think they're going to do a good job. I don't know about any of that. I just definitely something I need to clarify myself. It talks about a community engagement or community engagement process. Find out in days before community development and breeding, and actually want to be that is part of some sort of process that we have to follow, or do we really need to know if there's support? Because I think, well, I know breeding, if you want to support it anyway, I think it's a done deal. So especially if it's part of the community, then we have to do it, or what I think is if that one mind. Go ahead.
That's a good question. It doesn't come up very often because, generally speaking, public consultation is usually for larger projects in this. But it's a good point because it is community meetings and they should have some management of that. But it looks like Megan might have this one on board. Thanks, Megan.
Thank you, through the chair. Just to explain, because it is community land and it's a new agreement, we do have to go through the public consultation process. Once that agreement has been established, then we can continue our provide the notes for 5 years for each term.
So it's not an arduous public process. Because that sometimes they get hold these up. Really, people lose interest. Councillor Collins.
Just one other question. So it says $10,000. It doesn't actually say this in the recommendation, but if we are to make this resolution, there'll be an expectation of the cost of $10,000 per council in the future.
Thank you, through the mayor. Through the we'll say your future program, the grant issue, there was an allowance. They requested $10,000, and that was actually approved by council a while ago. But then there was an issue where they would actually be located. So it was Nuclear Upskilling Institute, and that was a suitable location. So we looked for an alternative. So that $10,000 was still remain.
Thank you, Megan. Thanks, Councillor Collins. Any further questions, councillors? If not, we've got the recommendation up there. Would someone like to move their way? Councillor Simon, would someone like to second that one? Councillor Lynette, got to speak to that, Councillor Simon? No, Councillor Lynette. I'll put it to vote. All those in favour? Those against, that's carried. Thank you, councillors. Great projects approved, I'm sure. Moving on now to the local affordable land housing plan draft terms of reference. Corinne, would you like to speak to this? You put a lot of effort into this one as well as, and would you like to speak to the report?
Thanks, Mayor Bill. I guess we're at the point in time where we're keen to table these draft terms of reference and the supporting information that leads to them. I guess council's direction to the administration at this point in time is handy so that we can set some expectations when we do engage with the community on how far council wants to go in terms of supporting local affordable housing. So there is a spectrum of opportunities for council from, you know, quite minimal investment to quite extensive investment. It is really up to the council. So I think the main message from me is to have a think about those draft terms, and if you think that council's investment doesn't align with some of them, yeah, perhaps exclude them at this point. Or if you think that you're willing to take that with the community, obviously include them, and when we go out on consultation, ultimately the community have their say on that. Some of those options for interventions certainly require a bit more work and investigation around what the cost is to council and what the benefits might be. So that's something that should come, you know, as part of the next steps. But certainly in terms of working out draft terms and reference, we think we've got a good spectrum there under sort of 4 key pillars. So yeah, I think it's over to the council to have a think about that and see what they might want to adopt in terms of reference.
Thank you so much, Colin. I had a little note I made on top of this. It says outstanding and comprehensive report with achievable outcomes. And I think, you know, that's where I sit with this. I think there's a lot of work that's been done. There's a great template there for us to sort of examine thoroughly if we wish and change if we wish, but at least we've got a template now of some of the things that we need to understand, we need to address in any sort of policy in this very, very complicated space. So well done, Colin, for that, and just giving us a lot of food for thought and for our future direction on this matter. This is a draft, so we've got every opportunity to add or subtract from the report. Would anyone else like to talk on this? Councillor Michael?
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Peter. Look, I'll echo your comments that I think, yeah, this piece of work is really good. And I quite like the way it sort of sets out a suite of options for the council to consider, I guess, going from its Byron put it, you know, I guess, an adequacy position through to, you know, market intervention, and look, you know, councils might have different perspectives on just how far council may be willing to go. But the one thing I would say about that has already been pointed out, that this is a terms of reference. So, yeah, the intention when the original motion was put to the council was that the terms of reference then informed some further analysis and consideration on the viability of some of these and council's appetite for them. So, yeah, it may be the council resolves at some point in the future that it's not prepared to intervene in the market, or it's more prepared to intervene in a subtle way, whatever that might be. You know, we're not here necessarily to endorse every single one of these actions. It's then the administration will go away and then come back to the council in, you know, a reasonable amount of time in March next year to present those options to us. So it starts everyone to have an open mind about that.
Thank you so much, Councillor Michael. You've got a passion for this, and you've got a fair understanding of how it all works as well. And it's nice to see that we're talking about something that affects a lot of people and affects people in our region very much. And even if we can't do a lot about it, we can do something about it. And that's what we're doing initially. And I commend you for raising it in the first place, and I commend Colin for getting us to stage 1 at least, that we've got something to work with. And I've got another question from Councillor Bill. So,
thanks, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, just really a question to Colin, I suppose. I mean, great report, fabulous well presented and clear and good. And I'm sure we're all keen to advocate that. Are you asking you want information now as to what to do? Are you saying you want to say don't get no intervention now? What are you trying to get? Because I wouldn't support intervention that I was alluding to, but do you want to? Do you want to cut that out of the terms of reference now? that what you're asking for, is not? Or what are you asking us to do? That's the question.
I mean, it probably comes down to the level of council intervention and investment. I guess the council has a low appetite for investing, heavily in terms of whether it be land acquisition to partner and build affordable housing projects. There's a bit of work involved in the administration to explore that. So yeah, if it's got low appetite, it's probably not the most efficient use of that outline. So, earlier indication of that is better before we go too far down the track. That's probably more of the comment. If there's something that you think that's really out of our ballpark, yeah, it's probably worth discussing and raising that earlier. That makes sense.
Now.
Before we get too far down the track.
Councillor Ellison.
Thank you, Chair. Housing SA, have we investigated what they're doing with customer affordable housing? Has anybody spoke to, well, I suppose local government, or state government, sorry, not local, to see what they might be interested in doing, because I sort of don't see it as a council job. As such, I see it more as state government / housing SA to be looking into this.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. We need to know what position Housing SA have in all of this, and they probably need to know that we're interested to be kept informed, because we won't be able to do everything. But we've got to just to distill all this and work out what we can do, and getting all that other information from those agencies will be very valuable, I'm sure. Thanks, Connie.
Through the chair, so I guess the precursor to this report was the report that we did a few months ago, just to sort of setting the scene, and that talked mainly about state government and federal government programs. In terms of built form projects on the ground through Housing SA, they're typically done through Renewal SA lands. Renewal SA do not own land within our council area, they do within Tamatula, so that's probably the closest activation of affordable housing, and typically their rollout of program is usually where there's good public transport access and access to services that are by people that struggle to afford housing. So I think the opportunities for this council more so lie with any growth that happens along the public transport corridor. So certainly, this discussion in the draft yard that looks at how affordable housing can be achieved in those sort of growth areas.
Yeah, thank you, Con. It's interesting to know too that the South Australian Housing Authority's local affordable housing plan toolkit, that would obviously generate quite a bit of interest too for our point of view, and we could have a look at that. And I think we need to probably get a few little guidelines from there as well. Councillor Conlon.
I probably does have this, but I'd advocate for housing outcomes. So I'm not sure I would support the market to deliver affordable housing outcomes in that area. So what do you mean by support the market? We actually jump in the market. What is that? What support the market on?
So I guess that particular point mainly relates to larger land divisions. So land divisions that we are seeing either, it's Kapunda, Brelling, Kidman rises and Brelling state size scales. So hundreds of allotments, also down at Roseworthy, supporting the market to provide a mix of housing. So at the moment, we've seen typically 3 and 4 bedroom houses being rolled out in some subdivisions, and other divisions looking at smaller housing, 1 or 2 bedroom housing that is more in the affordable space. So supporting the market with the council, having those conversations with developers in subdivision stage, we go, are you considering a diversity of options throughout the precinct? Are they placed well, with close proximity to parks and reserves? If they're just not big enough to have a backyard, for example.
So the planning support rather than financial support.
Correct. I mean, we can have a look at what incentives council can do, whether they're financial or not. But essentially, it is firstly that engagement, just to question developers in terms of the products that they're rolling out.
Councillor Collins. I was going to make a motion, but I'm just going to. Yeah, I'll leave this, but well, I'd like to take out. I think it's a double arm. Oh no, leave support the market leader, but I'd like to take out intervening in the markets in partnership and measures and I'd like to inform and monitor, so a legal state to government issues to council residents. And then I'd like 2, 3 and 4 out. Advocate for social housing in well-located areas. And all that I'd like to advocate all those. I think we should be doing this anyway. I think we probably are. It's the only item in the report.
Councillor Conley, you're asking,
Yeah, I'm just saying, take it
on page 67, that last paragraph.
Yeah, you're right.
We can delete from this.
Yes.
Yeah.
To clarify, Councillor Boland, on A, you're happy with A, B, C, and then we move to D?
Yep. I wrote a screen list.
C will take 5 or 3 other.
Oh, I into it. C.
It's pretty, yeah, I don't want to mention.
But can we just confirm deleting that?
Yep, yep. Continuously 1.
I or one to continuously?
Leave I, which is inform and monitor, and leave 1, promote state technical issues, council. And 2, we advocate for social housing in well-located areas. Join neighbouring councils, advocate for upgrades to planning, design, code, affordable housing overlay, to increase additional stimulation of start to the advocate for interest. This type of housing, it goes to the increased village rent purchases. And then partner and support, I agree with all those, the 1 and 2, but intervening, I only agree with number 4. They discourage vacant land making through differential rates.
Through the chair.
Councillor Linton.
I'm looking at defining affordable housing indicators as costings 495,569 to own. Where would you buy a house at that price? I mean, who have just been sold in Freeling. They're ordinary houses and they've gone for over 800,000. So I don't call that a good costing. I'm sorry, but to me, it's nowhere near the mark.
Just buying.
Yeah,
I think we need to go back to, Collins' move this motion, with those addendums, not addendums, but those, deletions to that. Do we have any discussions around that? I'm not trying to cut you off, Councillor Lynn, but we'll get back to your question. But, we need to get back to Collins' motion. Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mayor Bill, and I'd like to thank Councillor Wynne for reinforcing the reason why we're talking about affordable housing in our region, because as Councillor Wynne pointed out, there isn't any. So thank you for that. And I just want to remind everybody that on a couple of points here. So, this is the Grove Council, as we know. Roseworthy has been identified through the GARP as a growth area. We're on the precipice of that growth now. And a comprehensive strategy positions the council well to be a leader in the region, to make sure that we don't end up with the same problem that we've got Freeling now at some point in the future. Not everyone in my regional council can afford an $800,000 house. If we want essential workers or workers in the area, then if we're locking people out of the market, then we're ultimately not going to the growth areas. People won't go to living working. And once again, just reminding everybody that what we're looking at here are terms of reference. And we're not sitting here and saying that we're endorsing council going and becoming a property developer. What we're endorsing is the staff to go away with the feasibility of a number of these options. I know Councillor Collins put forward some amendments, and I think those merit some further discussion. Making some changes to it. It's just
I think it makes a lot of sense. I think that's what we've got to understand. This is just in terms of preferences, it's not a recommendation you have to do it. Councillor Bill.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I'm prepared to second Paul's motion. Cut that pretty well. We still got to get an affordable housing plan.
And that's a fair comment, because these things that have been taken out can always be put back in. But if they're fundamental to the whole recommendation, we need to think about it very carefully.
Yeah, I agree with Michael, everything you said, that the problem is that you do have two broader records for us to work with. The administration are going to spend a lot of time going down a rabbit hole that never nothing's ever going to happen. What I'm trying to do, I was a bit messy doing it, I did have a bit down, I've got to explain, but what I was trying to do is get it so it's manageable for us as a council to develop and deliver something rather than having all this stuff that's thought about. I think it's, we've got to really advocate through federal, state governments and use the RDA, use every vehicle we can to get this done. But I think it's done simply and hiring these states to be able to go ahead and work on financial.
Oh, I think that's very well put. Councillor Dean.
Thank you, Mayor Bill. Understand where Colin's coming from, and I generally agree with that, but I'm not happy with the removal of any form of monitor of local community service for people who are homeless or at risk, and also 3 and 4 in that one. We're only importing in one thing. I think that's important. We have a social responsibility, and we right rather than fulfill that for the rest of the council. So I'm generally supportive of what the motion is, but I'd like to see those back in. Otherwise,
Councillor Collins? Oh. Good. Councillor Simon.
I'm generally in support of the agree with what Councillor Lee said, is that I think it's important that we can promote the community services for people who are homeless or prison. I'm pretty sure we actually did that already, but I think it's important point of people. And the main council play project policy specifically reference affordable housing and promote this community. I think that that's something we should keep in. The one other thing with that, I agree that we shouldn't be intervening in the market. On a substantial way, but the people that are in that condition for being at the lane that we donate that is not used or underused or not only I think that's a way that we should also go down and that is probably the intervening things that are about people. Like leave something in there or I can do that anyway, they can come back. But yeah, I would want to see those points in there, otherwise I would vote against it.
Thanks, Councillor Simon. Further comments, councillors? Further questions? No, Councillor Michael.
So is there a discussion around, so we just sort of had a suggestion to bring D 1, 2 and 3 back in, so given this has been seconded. Can we amend? Can we amend 4 or how does that work?
It's getting complicated.
Thank you, through the chair. No, we an amendment with Adams. This is in there. If they would like to see approval from the mover and seconder to remove them, that would be approval for any mover and seconder.
So there's a disputed precedent there with what's being removed from the list.
I think it's been removed. It's a motion now, so nothing is, that's a motion. It's been seconded.
It's been seconded. Been spoken to and against. So I'll put the motion. All those in favour? I don't have much choice. We just have a show of hands again for the motion. Yeah.
We're having a conversation with the president, so.
Thank you, through the chair again. So it would be up to someone to ask the mover and seconder to agree to a change. Therefore, will the mover and seconder would they like to include those points back into the motion or not?
Councillor Michael.
Thank you, Bill, and I appreciate comments that have been made about actually the focus of this. Somewhat as much as I'm advocating for all of it, I guess I could do with, off the back of the Deputy Mayor's comments around, and Councillor Dean's comments around, homeless people, and hardship policy, if we can retain those two features of the amended motion, because that's a request to the mover and the seconder.
That's fair, Councillor Collins. You accept that?
I would be prepared to, because I think the two issues, I think we're talking about affordable housing, how to get house built. We're not talking about homeless people. So I do agree, I 100% agree with those with it, but I just don't think this is the motion to put it in. So and I'm not supportive of changing. But if we want to do these sort of things where you want to do things for the homeless, I think it's a whole different game. I think that's what, if you want to start with the homeless as well, with affordable housing, let's go and do it. But I think this is a too broad a thing to have in here. That's why I've chosen to take it up, not because I'm not supportive of the homeless.
Thank you, Councillor Cullen. We're now back to the original motion. So I'll put that, all those in favour? Those against? And that's carried. Thank you, councillor, and thanks for your passion towards the subject too. And I have to agree with almost everything said by everybody. It's one of those incredibly difficult subjects where it's very difficult to draw the lines somewhere. Where does it start? Where does it stop?
Thank you. I'd just like to have the question following up on what Councillor Dean said. So, because we also usually when we talk about that for housing, it's 30% of someone's income if they're possible or even renting or paying on mortgage is more than 30% of one income. That's just non-affordable housing. So if you calculate this out, both of these things come about to something like either the both suggestion here, and which Councillor then points out are quite low, comes to about $30,000 a year, which then would equate to somebody paying $90,000 and then would have to be after taxes. So that is, a lot of our own employees don't have that much. So how is this affordable? How's that threshold actually an example of that? So those are the answers. So the actual definition of affordable housing it mentioned many times in the report is 30% of one's income. So that's just one why it ended up being these numbers, which seem to be arbitrary and it might be affordable to some, but it's not affordable to somebody else. It wouldn't be affordable to people that we hire ourselves, so if they don't know that.
Thank you, Councillor Simon. Anything further, councillors? If not, we'll move on. I'm not too sure about this next now. 13.4. 13.4 management agreement of the Freedom Institute. We've got some issues with this particular report from some late information that we received today. I'm in the hands of the elected members at the moment as to what we should do about this. I think all people should get a chance to have their say, whether they have or we believe they have or they haven't. Looking in some direction, I guess. Karen, would you like to comment in any way about this matter, or do you think we should just leave it to the chamber to decide where we go? I want to make sure we're doing it quite legally. We've got a motion there, and based on the information, or we had recommendation, based on the information that we had prior to today. And we know today we received a rather lengthy counter argument in relation to the hall. I think in fairness to both parties, we should consider both, if that's appropriate to do so.
Thanks, through the chair. In discussion earlier with senior management was that his item has been withdrawn through the review and investigation into the matter and be brought back to council at a later date.
That's what I think.
So just, you want
I think that makes a lot of sense. That's giving everyone a fair opportunity to put their case forward properly. Not in a late email that we got late this afternoon and have a little chance to digest against what we already know. There's a bit more to this particular matter than we've been presented with. Unfortunately, it's not a staff matter fault either. It's just disagreement between parties, which has made things a little difficult. Councillor Lynn.
I had a discussion with a meeting this afternoon, and I think this person, he's on a different tune to what we are, and I'm meeting to comment.
Yeah, thanks, Councillor Lynn.
Through the chair, probably should say on the public forum, other than if we withdraw this report. Part of that is not based on the email we received, but also based on the request from the RSL that has some concerns now. So we need to meet that as well.
Thank you, Megan. That makes a lot of sense. And that, I think, that can appease both parties. If the Trinity RSL are having concerns also, there's not much point us going on with this particular recommendation. So, I guess the, case now is to withdraw this particular matter and bring it up at our next meeting. Do we need to move a motion for that? Thank you, Councillor. No, we don't need to. We don't need a motion. We'll just withdraw it. Seems a bit odd, but, no? Okay. Well above my pay grade. Councillors, we move on now to public consultation of the Brilliant Railway Reserve Concept Plan. And this is another something that I'm very interested in and with things that I'm sure for feeling to consider. There's a recommendation about halfway down page 82. I'd like to talk to this matter.
Yes.
Thanks, Councillor Lynn.
The ground design concept isn't finished yet, is it? Reactivation of urban goods shed, including active use of platform, carriage and entry plaza. I had a discussion with the person that is involved in doing this today, and there's a lot of things that that look good, and after talking to Karen, we have $10,000 in our budget for street art, and after speaking to Gemma, she said that we want to think about, for the street art part of it, what's the name, at the beginning, the sculpture, that money could be used for the sculpture, and that's at the bottom of the pathway, and as far as changing things in the goods shed, I don't think that that's the way to go. She actually said that she had gone through some stuff and she found this, previous report, and she wants to paint the railway carriage that's on the platform, which was originally, when we bought it, the op shop bought that, and that bought the other carriage that's inside, and that carriage that's outside was the accident car that was on the it was on the number board, and they actually had a carriage that was an accident train, and so she's wanting to paint murals on that, and can't really say what I wanted because we don't cover it before. But she said that.
That's told you before.
No.
That's the stopped you before.
Yeah, that's not me now. But yes, she had all these ideas, and the goods shed actually was originally a long time ago, when the op shop bought those two carriages. We went to Adelaide. He was chairman, Des Shanahan, and his wife, and Brian, my husband, and I. We went down and we actually bought those two carriages. And then we found out that she's wanting to say, oh, we need to do this and we need to do that there. But we actually bought the door off of the Ford's goods shed, and 10 of the local farmers around Ford's said, seeing that wood shed is buggered, so you can have it, have that door. So we had that door put on the end of that door, wood shed. And, so that, and that's, if you were to go into the wood shed, you'd see that it's got Ford's written on it. Yeah. Also inside that wood shed, there's a picture here of existing. There is a petrol bowser. Now, many years ago, that was in the depot alongside the Institute. And we decided to take that out of there. And there was a man at Tanunda that wanted to buy it because people collect these things and they get very good money for them. So I suggested that maybe we get it out and we sell it. You get up to $5,000 for that. And that money could then go into this project as well. When those people bought those, the good shed door down from Ford, the farmers, 10 of them actually, loaded it onto a great big trailer and brought the door down, and I gave them 2 cartons of beer for that. You can't do that now. But there's a lot of historical stuff there that really has to be addressed now. We don't want to lose all of that. And Gemma said that she had wanted to have this carriage painted. She was lining up an Aboriginal student that was to be mentored by Menzel and painted. And I'm not in favour of that whatsoever. I told her that, and she said, but he could perhaps put a few Aboriginal signs and things on it. Well, there was no Aboriginal people in Freeling in 1880.
But there wasn't enough.
Yes, there wasn't, but there was none here in Freeling, and these, the only one I know of that was in the area was Queen, some name, of the Aboriginals, and she was Shio Glog. And the Leonard family, they found out about her, and she had a humpy at Shio Glog. I mean, this is all history that we have to consider and not get rid of.
I couldn't agree more. I think you have agreed them all around the table, all around the chamber.
Yeah, I think.
Keep working with Gemma. She knows what she's talking about.
Yes, she actually did. She did inquire from the South Australian Railways about what was actually happening, and when Bob Arns, who was very generous, he actually gave us. He brought a crane in. And he lifted the carriage that was on the shunting line. He put that over onto the other for us, and there's real history there, and I don't want to get rid of that. Okay.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Well, it's probably not going to affect our recommendation too much, but I'll move over to Councillor Michael for
Thank you, Mayor Bill, and thank you, Councillor Lynn, for the history on the goods shed. The question I have is a little bit more targeted. So there's discussion here about needing grant funding, and this has sort of come and gone, I think, at least in my term of council. So there's an inference here that it would need to be staged in some way. Does the administration have a view on how to stage it, or is that something that will come in the future?
Thanks, Councillor Michael. No, thanks, Karen.
Thanks through the chair. I think from the first time we tabled the concept of council, we get some feedback sort of suggesting that activating the site with a playground, so sort of nature play type activation, which is in the sort of foreground area, in front of the toilets. It's probably a good initial stage that, might be with the council's sort of budget and would be certainly and would be eligible for grant funding applications. So, really that's probably our thinking at this point. Yeah, in terms of staging, and I guess it's really depending on the council's appetite for further investment in the site and further activation. And I think some of the comments from Councillor Reichstein around further promoting history and heritage town and certain elements of it, yeah, could be a focus there after.
Councillor Simon?
Thanks to the mayor. I have a question about this myself. I don't agree with Councillor Linet about preserving history, obviously. The last time on this came around, I think one of the big sticking points was the cost that was attached to it was, remember, it was just whatever. And so mine back then was sort of criticized quite heavily and was saying, cheap. So this time around, there's no cost attached to it anymore. So I just wondered if this goes to public consultation. I assume there would be some sort of bigger that the public need to really be willing or not willing to support. So I just wondered how this is going to work out. In actuality, I do agree with the, and I think I said it back then, playing around with a bunch of trees would really do a good job to start with. I totally agree on that one. So how's this going to work? Probably what are they going to know, and are they going to be, is there going to be any talk about the costs for that? Because if you probably still remember the last one, this thing, it looks like those they still have seen the cost.
That's a good question, Councillor Simon, and I think there's no point going to public consultation unless we've got some idea of what we're talking about.
Yeah, through the chair, I think it's important to note that there is no budget included in council's long-term financial plan for improvements to the sites. That's probably the bursaries. Council doesn't plan on, or hasn't in the next 10 years, investing in the site. However, I guess part of the community engagement is, do they see that site as being important and warrant some form of upgrade? Setting some parameters around cost, I think, could be a question that's asked of the community. What do you think is a fair and reasonable amount that council should invest on the site? So I think we can sort of back engineer that by asking the community what their thoughts on that are as well, just to get some feedback.
You have to have a parameter. You couldn't just ask them what they for the perhaps that we spend on. You've got to feel an idea of what you're feeling about because they might say we need to have a area in between where that money is how much we think that we would like to spend because I mean they will come up with anything.
Need to budget up to it. That's everything. Councillor Cole? Oh no. Councillor Bill?
I'm trying to talk like that. It seems to me a little bit that it got rolled last time. We didn't get supported, but then now we're getting supported, trying to get the community to actually get the concept plan. Because the concept plan, as it was, as Simon said, wasn't supported because of the cost of it. And then you bring it back and it's pretty much the same format, using the same consultant, and then you put out public consultation. It's just another way to get something that wasn't approved before. I think we need a budget.
To the chair, I have, I guess, just an objective approach. That area is used as open community space for events like the street park and things like that. If we were to fill that area with these trees, play areas, open malls, and all this other infrastructure, would that impede or somehow prevent some of those community events from occurring in that area? Losing that functionality that we've currently got there.
I don't think
Thanks, councillor Holliday. Anything further, councillors? Councillor Phillips.
Just a query, I mean, it seems that the grant funding, is there some grant funding that we're looking option that we don't know about, which are dancing around with this? We want to be shovel ready in less than kids, because obviously we haven't got budget on this and stuff. Is there something that we should be aware of in that area, because there's a grant that is hanging around?
I'll put councillor Bill. I'll add Rob, I support.
Through the chair, so the state government's open space planning fund comes around annually, and typically, and this project and that type of application, it's a competitive program, so multiple councils will typically apply into it. It'll be merit based, and council has had some success under that particular program. So the last project that was completed was under Town Square, for example. So it's typically 50/50 funding, so the council will need to come up with other funds. Yeah, so that's an annual application process. You typically need to be shovel ready, but historically guidelines have been two phase. So you can have the first phase, which is further planning and detailed design, and then second phase of delivery. They do amend the guidelines from time to time. An example of that, I think in the last couple of years, they amended the guidelines to be for the acquisition of potter parts, as an example. But I think that's run its course, and they'll get back to sort of typical projects like what could occur when railway was doing.
Councillor.
Through the chair. Is that a subsidised? How much is that? You do, you've got 50% for that grant, okay.
Councillor Michael.
Thanks, Mayor Bill. So just, I guess first a question, then a comment. So I guess this is the public agenda, but this hasn't been to public consultation and one previously. But I guess the question becomes then, rather than doing nothing but not set expectations in the community, then that consultation be undertaken in a more general sense to get feedback on what the community wants and taking on board what Councillor Fabio said about other uses, the area, so we get people's input, and then we look at what does it look like, and then inform what sort of grant funding and things that we need. Quite open to that. I wouldn't be worried about me running away with the screen in terms of building expectations, people, something that we might not be able to deliver.
Thanks, councillor Michael. Councillor William.
With the fairly street currently coming, I think it's in the middle of December, I don't know, anyhow.
It's not far away.
Soon, we'll get a good idea of the use of what that area is used on that night. Because they use the toilets there, they have carol singing there, they have everything there, so that'll give a good indication of the use. So then we come back to this.
Thanks, councillor William.
Yeah, thanks. There's a couple more points that I want to make. One is that I just see that there's an old CFS shed there, and I think that's the original quantifier and service shed that's quantified is going to be removed. I've been vehemently against that. I think that how it's got finance and it's definitely saying we're not going to keep that's an argument, CFS shed like that. The doors that are playing open the next platform. So yeah, that should be pointed out. I wouldn't want that steam removed. But then the other thing is that speaking of all the Sinclair buildings, there's a pretty established holdings out that definitely in my possession. So I'm the one that would be wanted to give them to council. I mean, I really because of that. So obviously want to make that point with them and show that people get consulted actually on those things in the past. That are people. If they don't, I'm happy to speak myself.
Thank you, councillor Snyder. Anything further?
Yes,
What's going on?
I don't know, we're going to circle.
And as it is, received the report, for public consultation, I don't know about the public consultation. Yeah, I know, but I want to take that out because I can move it without one. I'm just wondering how I could do that. Just,
So you haven't got a motion? Did you want to move that motion, or is it going to move something similar?
I'll move the motion as it stands, second from Meggs.
Thanks, councillor Cardier. Do you want to speak to that motion first?
No, absolutely. I think we've gone around, I think it's been done to death. I think with everyone's got a fair education of what needs to happen. We're notwithstanding the fact that councillor Villa may have comments to make.
I'll pass to councillor Simon. And then we'll, Mike leaves the motion.
As the motion with be aware of the each version you want, because there's two versions that possible. One is with the number two that includes the public consultation by the police says, and one is the one that you try to move along without that. I just wondering if you're aware of that, or if you have anything against consultation of those cells being included in the option. Most of the defense is my question, aware of that, and if you might want to change it to one that goes to police.
Would that not be part of the public consultation process to see whether there's an appetite there to include those, police officers, historical police officers?
Okay, because then you have to do the number two that's laying down in the.
Yeah, because those shares that have been included. I've got some photos of the actual cells when they were in the station. Yeah.
We need to look back to this recommendation and otherwise we're going to be here forever.
I'll move the recommendation as it stands, so. Yeah.
The motion has been moved. I will refer someone to the second that motion, that's on the board stage. Councillor Dean seconded that motion. You want to speak to a councillor Dean? Are there any further comments? Councillor Hyman?
I'd like to speak. I want to reiterate the point that it goes away. I'm just saying that's not going to vote against it. I think it's important that the community agreeing gets the choice that these two cells in their public place. Otherwise, I'm going to take them home. I'm going to sell them, I'm going to do something else, and then they're going to be lost forever for the community. So I think it's very important that that really is the reasoning. So I'm going to vote against this motion because it's not included. That's what I tried before. I'm going to make the point to that is even then.
Because that includes the two police stations.
Inclusive of feedback, police websites, door, and police organizations should be relocated on display in the reserve as it has been written in the suggestion number 2. On the age.
What the amendment has been moved and seconded.
Come back to me.
Vote on the amendment now. All those in favour of the amendment, please say.
I don't know what it is.
Give me 2 seconds.
Include the two police cells in here, the On that note.
Quite happy for that to be in the motion, the second reading. Mover is as well, so.
The movers and seconds are having that now become a motion. That becomes a motion.
There'll be.
Councillor Collins. Across the table, please. The council, that becomes the motion now. I can put that motion, all those in favour? Those against, that's carried. You can't talk across the table.
No, so on this, so we voted for the amendment.
Yep, the amendment got up. Yeah, and it's included in the motion, we voted for the motion and that's correct.
I would vote for the motion as well.
Yeah.
No,
We voted for the amendment, I didn't, we've only voted for the amendment, right, that's right.
Okay, the amendment.
So I'd like to vote on the table.
Just voting for the motion.
What?
We have voted for the motion.
The amendment becomes a motion and we voted for that.
Sorry.
I objected to the vote on the amendment, I didn't know what, because it wasn't up on the screen. And that's why when I found out what it was, I suggested to move with it, we incorporated in the motion, which we did. And that was what voted on, my understanding of what happened.
I don't know. I think we'll go back to scratch.
Thanks, through the chair. The amendment was moved and seconded. That was then carried, which will become the motion.
That's correct.
The motion now needs to be put.
What the limits the motion? And it was carried.
No, the amendment was put and carried, so
Yep.
now we'll put the motion.
Well, I thought I had done that as well. But no, man,
We
I
have,
did do that.
we haven't captured that.
Okay. But I did do that because, but anyway, we'll do that right now. The amendment becomes a motion, we're voting for the motion now.
Sorry, I just want to clarify with Carrie, because people who have spoken to the motion can now speak to the amendment.
The amendment's passed.
If the amendment is now passed, but people can now speak to the amended motion.
I want to, no, so you've got the motion and everyone's spoken. It's only, it hasn't really been spoken on because there was a conversation prior. And then you've got the amendment that was to be spoken on, just the amendment. And now you've got the motion, which includes the amendment, so it only goes back to who hasn't spoken on the motion. The amendment has already been carried, so they do not speak on the amendment.
I haven't spoken on the motion, so I'd like to speak. That's okay.
Yeah. That's a column.
I'd like to run it for table because that means I'd like to see a budget in it, and I think, I think it'd be good to see how much money is to be spent if this is done. So I don't have the information tonight, so I think we load on the table and get a bit more background information before we go forward with this. I'll be happy with it.
Might go back to Carly on this.
And through the chair, a recommendation from government would be rather than to put a formal motion to lie on the table to adjourn the item and nominate a specific meeting, whether that's next council meeting, that's fine. And it is a formal motion, so it needs to be dealt with.
So a motion now that takes precedent. It's a formal motion from Councillor Collin that this matter lay on the table.
Chair, right. I would adjourn.
Adjourn.
the next meeting.
Till next meeting.
to the next meeting, and I think we have a second in Councillor Michael. Do we all understand that we're up to this at the moment? We're adjourning this till the next meeting, if this motion gets up, for further information. And we report back that extra information for deliberation. Mover and seconder, would anyone like to comment or speak on this? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Motion's carried. Thanks, councillors. We'll hope we'll be exhausted. Still, this is what we're here for. The next matter is the appointment of the deputy mayor. I must say before we move this, I must thank Councillor Simon in the last 2 years. He's acted in the capacity as deputy mayor and acted in my absence recently, and I was very grateful for that. So I thank you, Councillor Simon, publicly. I think I did a very good job. Help me with that. Councillor.
Thank you. Through the chair, thank you. Our own deputy mayor, Simon, did an excellent job, so thank you. I would like to nominate Councillor Phillips Ryder for deputy mayor.
Councillor Phillips Ryder.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Councillor Allison has moved this motion with Councillor Phillips Ryder to perform the duties of deputy mayor for the next 2 years. Do we have a seconder for that motion?
Do we have?
Councillor Peter, the second the motion? No. No, wants to speak on the motion.
Yes, well, I would nominate Councillor Simon Zeller for the position of deputy mayor.
Here's what's going to happen.
That makes you, so you're not accepting. You don't say that. That's it.
So you're not accepting that nomination?
Bishop, before that, because we get a motion on the table. Councillor Allison moved the motion, but I'm seconding it. The seconding should have happened before Councillor Peters spoke.
That's right.
Did Councillor Allison move the motion, or was it purely a nomination?
You moved the motion with the with Councillor Michael as the performer duties of deputy mayor. And did we have a seconder for that? We had a seconder, Councillor Simon, seconded that. What I probably need to know, are there any other nominations?
Yes, I'd like to nominate Bill Close.
Councillor Close. And a seconder? We have a seconder. I know.
Thank you, and through the chair. Thank you, and through the chair. There has been a motion, so that does need to continue with the motion. There could have been a leave of meeting for discussion around it previously, but that's okay. We're at a motion at the moment. It does need to be dealt with. I'll remind members that with their motion and any nomination and voting that they do and should, or potentially, declare a conflict of interest, and leave the room when the motion goes to vote.
Councillor Dean, a comment?
The way that we've normally handled this kind of thing is that we call for nominations and then we have a secret ballot, and then once we've got the person, we put that person in the motion.
That's right.
And then we have a vote. And that is the only fair way to do it in my view, so I'm suggest strongly what we've got up there as being the motion, because that's not my understanding of what it should be.
And I would have to agree totally with that.
I remember last time we had a thing on our computer. So once the names came up, someone put them up and then you pressed what you wanted, so it was a silent ballot.
That's right.
So what? Yeah. 2024, yes.
Councillor Collins, this is yours.
Oh.
Sorry, Councillor. Is there any problem in having a secret ballot? That seems to be the.
Thank you, through the chair. As Carrie has pointed out, once a motion is moved, we must deal with the motion that's presented to us. We have a mover, we've had a seconder. If there is a desire for for more than one nomination for this position now, a mechanism to get around it would be to put it to the vote, and if no one wants to vote, it would lapse. We could then go to a secret ballot on pieces of paper. Yes, we turn back the clock. It may well be we come back to where we are right now, but that would at least give an opportunity for that, for another nomination to be made, should that be the case. So, but right at this point, the matter that is on the screen must be dealt with.
And we've got a mover and a seconder. If I put the motion and nobody votes, the motion absence. I put this motion. And if this motion nobody votes, it lapses. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Motion is lost. So we go now to plan B, which will be a secret ballot. And that would include all councillors. We'll call for nominations first. Do we have any nominations for deputy mayor? Councillor Todd.
I'll nominate Michael whenever I'm allowed to.
Why?
We just got rolled in the last one.
No. Okay.
I think it's
We have a nomination from Councillor Michael. Do we have any further nominations? Councillor Peter?
I nominate Councillor Simon Taylor.
Councillor Simon mentioned he wasn't there to accept that. Michael, I must ask you accepting that nomination, by the way. Do we have any further nominations?
Can I say something?
Certainly.
About my nomination. I really thoroughly enjoyed being deputy mayor, and that was a great opportunity. But that's exactly what I don't want to do anymore. I want something else that's an opportunity to see how it is and get a different view of how things work out. I don't want to be deputy mayor again. It's not because I didn't like it, I don't want to do it because I want somebody else to have the same chances and I've done it before. So my group people that ended up, I don't know, basically. council Bill or deputy mayor, I'm not sure. Where, yeah. Definitely have that opportunity to leave if you don't, that's something that's going to go. You have to, that's my position, don't go in deputy mayor.
Councillor Simon, I commend you so much for that. You told me that last week that you would like to see it shared around, and I commend you for that. I think it's very honourable, and it is a quite an honour to be deputy mayor, and you handle it particularly well. Councillor. So I have 2 nominations at this point. Any further nominations, councillors? If not, I'll ask Councillor Bill and Councillor Michael to leave the room.
Thank you.
And then we still need to vote. Yes, that's what the members need to leave. Well, one member will need to leave.
We didn't vote. But you want us to vote?
I think you should.
Yeah.
We don't vote.
You haven't voted on the motion.
You won't vote for the motion. There will be a person's name put in there, and that person won't be able to be in the room when that vote occurs.
getting actually license for.
Leave that in there. And we've included the name with the, votes that had primarily come in for councillor Michael. So that is now as the motion, or that is now in the recommendation, if someone would like. Councillor Michael would like to leave and someone would like to remove. Can't hear you.
That's probably the move. One vote. Actually up there, it's been moved by Alison, then seconded. I'll second it.
And this becomes a motion moved by councillor Allison, seconded by councillor Cullen, that those 3 points that suggested that councillor Michael Phillips-Ryder is our new deputy mayor for the next 2 years. And now you can call me back into the room. Oh, okay, good vote. Cool. I'll put the motion, all those in favour? Those against? Motion's carried. Congratulations, Councillor Michael. Well done. Thanks, Councillor Bill, for putting your hand up too. That's into the. No shoes here. Councillors, we move on now to our next item on our very busy agenda tonight. The Gawler River Floodplain Management Authority Annual Report. We have a recommendation about halfway down page number 89.
Yes, I'll move that recommendation.
Thanks. Would you like to talk to that, Councillor Moran? No. Councillor Allison? No. Any questions or comments, councillors? If not, I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour? Those against? It's carried. Thanks, councillors. We've got over that one without anyone stumbling, including me, as I have most of the night. 13.8 Northern York Local Government Association Annual Report. And this annual report always becomes part of our council annual report as well. Any questions or comments? Thanks, Councillor Everson. Would someone like to second that? Councillor Barbio? Questions or comments, councillors? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against, that's carried. It's pretty straightforward. Thank you. Oh, I might add too that Simon Milcock has finished with the Northern York Local Government Association, and the new executive officer will be announced tomorrow. It's a lady from ex-Marion Council. I'll be talking about it tomorrow morning early. We move now to our Christmas opening hours. Thanks, Councillor Dean. Councillor Fabio, any questions or comments? If not, that's gratefully received. That's carried. Thank you.
We should probably vote on it.
Oh, do you want to vote, Councillor? Yeah, put your hand up, please. Okay, thank you. Right, reports for decision is an excellent report, and this follows on from Craig's presentation the other evening, which was really put us in the picture. That was a great report, and thanks, Craig. This is the Greater Adelaide Regional Plan consultation. With a recommendation 3/4 of the way down page 6. 6? Yeah.
Supplementary.
Supplementary agenda, that's correct. Are there any questions, councillors, in relation to this? Councillor Simon?
Yes, Chair. Yeah, it's just the one thing that I didn't like. I think I made my point clear. on the discussion that we talked about the 5 areas in Rosebery that we would be happy with or not happy with to be developed, which obviously bring to the whole green development, and I'm very strong against green development altogether. So it doesn't I can't at the top of my head and find which recommendation it is right now, but yeah, I disagree with that. And I think the concentration on that land, that possibility, that would be a good thing. That's my only point. But for that great report, and I think that's a good position.
Thanks so much, Councillor Simon. Any further comments? I have a mover. Yeah. Councillor Collins?
Yeah, just one thing I think I'm a bit concerned about is that 12%, and I spoke to Craig the other day, but is there any way we can increase it? There's 12% for the site community land, and it doesn't seem to be taken into account, as we discussed the other day, for recreational ovals, soccer pitches, and netball facilities, all that sort of stuff. I was wondering whether we could change it from 12% to 25%, and including that we do have to supply open areas for sport, because otherwise we're going to have all these dense populated areas with no where these children play sport, or not just children anyway play sport. I think it's going to be on us in the future if we haven't supplied enough land. So I wonder if we can put that in maybe recommendation 4, or so, I'm not sure, but I think it's something we should strongly consider.
Yes, please. Thanks very much, Colin. Councillor Collins.
Through the chair. Thanks for that, Councillor Collin. The 12.5% is all about at the info briefing session, and it is a matter of law that the 12.5% is captured in terms of the relevant part of the Act. So what I've attempted to do a recommendation for is highlight that extra land there for the structure planning stage, which puts that extra requirement for those regional scale facilities as I've termed them front and centre during the master planning process. And that would be the opportunity to put some of these things forward and have them captured in the full plan for an area like, in this case, Rosebery Satellite City, as it were. So I think that's something which is a way of putting it forward and creating the scale of the broader part of the Greater Adelaide Regional Plan fits in with some of the recommendations there. It's basically reinforcing the what's really in there, in my opinion.
The 12.5% is a minimum, isn't it?
It's a requirement as far as, there's 2 aspects to it in land division sense. If it's, technically speaking, if it's a land division over 20 kilometres, you're required to provide the 12.5% of land area. It's a matter of course. If there's less than that, there's a requirement to pay into a fund at the nominated amount. So if we were suggesting that needed to be expanded, it would apply to all applications. Rather than the master planning exercise, I think, which is really what we're targeting here, if I want to stand correctly.
Well, yeah,
Thanks, Councillor Collins. Thanks, Craig. Further questions, councillors? Councillor Simon?
Look, another question. It is actually a recommendation on the Rosebery. It says living Rosebery to the extent that the living Rosebery garden now. So I'm strongly against it. I don't know if there's anything I can do about taking that out of the response. But the other thing that I just wanted to note, and I find it quite interesting, and love to hear Craig's answer on that. It is noted that the regional plan is not considered when setting the development application on the PIX. In other words, that one is completely toothless and does nothing, because you can just the development can be assessed against against PIM, but that plan has no relevance on PIM. So the question would be, does that plan have any relevance on the PIM? Does the plan maybe to change the PIM or amend it in certain ways that people can extend it have? Maybe that we change it such a way that we can handle with that plan, because otherwise we make this big plan, but if it's that so you have to look at that plan and it seems to be quite I just wondered how that mechanism works.
Thanks, Craig. Yeah, thanks, Simon.
Thanks for the question again, and through the chair again, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Zeller. Look, the Greater Adelaide Regional Plan forms a similar function to the previous planning strategy. So yes, you don't refer to working as daily development assessment, but the function that it does, the important function that it does provide is that it guides, or it's a reference point for guiding code amendments, which allow for policy change, which is the instrument that is being applied in the development assessment plans. The PDI is a little bit different to its predecessor in that assessment refers to a few different elements. There's the code and then there's practice direction with other necessary technical guidance. But to say this is without purpose would be incorrect. If I'm understanding your question, it has an important function and a critical one in the context of this particular area, as I sort of mentioned previously, being that the Greater Adelaide Region Plan is the only one that's legislated. So it's the only one that is required. There are other regional plans that flow out for different parts of the state, but this is the one where the Commission is actively involved. So it's an important document, rest assured. It's going to be guided to pretty significant development from 85% of the population in Greater Adelaide.
Thank you, Grace. Further questions, councillors? If not, we'll have a recommendation about 2/3 of the way down page 6. Someone want to move that way? Councillor Dean, would you like to speak to that? Thanks, Councillor Dean.
Can I just
Certainly.
Through the chair, so can I just clarify, looking at that concept plan, because I'm totally against what came up on the screen last week as areas 1 and 2, which is Kangaroo Flat area. So just confirm for me that recommendation 1, that's not included in that, is it? It is. So you're recommending that we put in.
Yeah, so through the chair, we have 5 areas that we refer to. Sorry, let's get 5 areas that we refer to weren't officially shown. We put those on there to talk about for the session. Well, we talked about a number of things in relation to Rosewood. So this is my interpretation of some of the commentary for me, where we talked about not supporting full extent. So if you recall, there was some elements that went north, Rosewood and Great. Part that talks about, I think it's 3 from the AGT, that section north of Roseworthy Road, and the parts which are characterised as being the previous concept, which are those ones less forest highway essentially. So if I turn, it's probably the best way to address it. Have you got that plan up? Yeah. So my takeaway from the general discussion that we had was that condensed version of Roseworthy that we could support would be the ones that comprise, we had 1 or 2, but it's effectively the area of West Forest Highway. Now, that's my interpretation. I've written up a draft submission on that basis. It can be amended, but that's the carryover as I understood. And as I've indicated, would be generally consistent with previous positions of council going back to what seconds.
Thank you, Craig. Further questions, councillors? Councillor Wilson?
So through the chair, I'd like to put on the record that I don't approve areas 1 and 2 to be included in that, if others do, well, so forget, but yeah, no, I'm definitely against that.
Thanks, Councillor Wilson. Anything further from Councillor Simon?
So if I understand it correctly, you said this could be amended to not include areas 1 and 2. So how do we do that? How do we do that? That seems like Councillor Allison would be for that. So how do I achieve that?
So through the chair, the simplest way would be to not endorse the item 4 because the submission is provided on the basis that it's in draft form. It has a number of elements to it, And if there was an alternate that the council has in mind and directs us to provide, we can amend the submission accordingly. So that might be simply saying that recommendation one be removed and the commentary deleted, as it were. It might be more or less than that. The recommendations for Rosewood are covered in 1, 2, and 3. Because we also talked at the meeting about the form, if you will, so moving away from low density to a more mixed approach in terms of types of housing that might be realised in a future form. We have a component there around from a technical matter about the development of some associated measures and the actions that were featured in the draft for our own regional plan as well. So simply put, it would be certain elements being removed if that was the Lord Council directions given. Through the chair, that would be to be complete, we would be doing 1 to 4. It's not the cut there because they're all about different elements in and around expansion of Roseworthy's.
Thank you, Graham. Further questions or comments, councillors?
I've moved the whole thing. That hasn't been seconded yet, Bill.
We have a mover for the 4 recommendations up there. I'd like to speak to it, councillor Dean.
I think it reflects what we discussed generally. I think that number 4 does reflect generally what we discussed and agreed on generally, but I know everyone doesn't agree, but I think it's the best approach.
Thanks, councillor Dean. Would someone like to second this motion? Councillor Lynn, like to speak to it? Any further comments or questions, councillors? Councillor Norman?
I should like to speak against the motion, and not because 80% of it, 90% of it is perfect. I think the response is really great. We talk about all the important things of infill development and transport, oriented development and sustainability and tree covering. It's everything very, very good step. It talks about greenfield development, and I think greenfield development is done. The only reason why greenfield development happens is because it's best for the bottom line. That's the only driving force. There's no other reason, any other metric here, whether it's socially, economically, environmentally, practically, any other metric. Greenfield development is bad. It is just not good. It's only good for the bottom line of certain people. That's why that's the only reason. Everything else will be achieved in the Benelux. So I'm strongly against greenfield development, very strongly against wasting any more valuable farmland on cookie color housing developments. It's a shame. It's just really, really bad, and we've known this for hundreds of years that that's bad. We're still doing it, so that's the only reason I'm against it. Everything else.
Thanks, councillor Simon. I think Craig has something to add.
Through the chair again, I know the motion can be put in second, but this is one other comment. I was talking about elements being deleted. One thing, if we're having a discussion about amendment, will be an insertion of something to the line of not supporting the rest of the treating the greenfields as you just raised. So this is a big point. Thank you very much. Just to interject everyone.
Councillors, that's a reasonable compromise, I would have thought. Councillor Martin.
So it's just a process question on that. Yeah, as a note from me on that basis, great to move an amendment to point 4 to the effect it's subject to amendments that discourage greenfield development in favour of other forms of development and the exclusion of areas 1 and 2. That'd be something we can do here, and then the letter can go away and the amendment if it was voted on.
Councillor Dean, did you move the motion? Do you have any objection to?
I want the original one. Thank you.
I'll second it. I'll second Martin's amendment.
Just a technical comment. The 1 and 2 element is strictly house. We need to be saying Rosewood listed.
Yeah, any one way, that's all.
However, yeah.
So at this point, we're looking to amend recommendation 4. Recommendation 4, we're looking to amend that to include what? I'll write it on calendar.
So through the chair, if I'm understanding correctly, item 4 then would be to endorse the document to the point of the exclusion of item 1, recommendations 1 through 4, and then substituting. Sorry? Substantial.
And so it wouldn't be an amendment. It would need to be either a variation through the mover and seconder, or you would let them.
There's line amendment. Yeah. So we narrow that down to a line amendment then.
Probably question for governance then. So appreciate it might be a more material amendment attachment, but is it such a material amendment to the motion itself to then say, we're amending the submission to include these two concepts, and that's all we're amending in the motion. That's still a material amendment of your mind.
If it's substantially different to the intention of the first one, yes, it would be substantial.
It seems at this point that the motion even have to stand, and what's been suggested, the amendment that was suggested, is substantial and therefore can't be included. So the motion there and then the recommendation stands as it is. Am I getting that correct? So are there any further comments or questions? If not, I'll put the recommendation.
So just noting the deadlines of 4th of November, if this motion is not carried, does that have the effect that this council won't be making any submission at all? Or does it come back again?
Well, that's a very, very good question. And I suggest the deadline is November before that would be the case. Councillors, I'll put the recommendation up on the screen. Have a move on the seconder. There's no more further comments. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Motion's lost.
If Mr. Mayor, I'll call for a revision on that, thank you.
You can. All those who voted for the motion, would you stand behind the seats, please? And Councillor Lind, I think we can forgive Councillor Lind. You understand? Motion is lost. Then we go from here. Councillor Michael?
Through the mayor, I'd like to move a motion then that retains in substance the motion that was put and lost before, but amends point 4. I'll perhaps take some guidance from Craig with respect to those amendments that we discussed with the previous motion. that was attached to the recommendation 4, then I'm prepared to move that. It is effectively, yeah, removing recommendations 1 to 4 from the submission. So I think we probably want to retain recommendation 2. So but I guess what we've discussed is a desire for less greenfield development in favour of higher density or medium density, or whatever you want to call it, development, and then the exclusion of what we've discussed in areas 1 and 2. How have we achieved that through that?
So through the chair, thank you. Recommendation 2 is tailored to a Roseworthy expansion. We talked about infill or other townships in a later recommendation, but similar housing mix, so probably doesn't have a function of doing for removing it. The only other comment I had was that last one, removing 1, 2, 3, and 4, except with the putting submission with no comment about Roseworthy. And my understanding of the sentiment is that Councillor Simon would either replace those recommendations with one more specific greenfield development. Okay. Sorry.
The extent of our issue. There would be no way of just saying we don't want to extend or change or alter everything there, but people do area that would be possible.
Yeah, so through the chair is, I think the message I'm hearing is no expansion of Roseworthy beyond what's currently on. That would involve expansion of the forest and food production areas. That's the solution going to Councillor Collins. So it's removing all elements of expanded Roseworthy and replacing that with commentary that shouldn't be expanded to preserve the given the nature of the amendments there are on the minor changes to the submission, so I think that's fine. The motion. No, no, it's okay. I just wanted to, some other words to be added about giving latitude and staff to affect those changes of the document is all.
We're okay going on with what we are and then that was, yeah. Yes.
Thank you so much, Craig, for and do it on the run. That's great. The council's been out of an amended. We have an amended motion up on the screen that has been moved by Councillor Michael. Do we have someone to second that? Councillor Simon seconded that motion.
You're happy with the voting to make those amendments?
I'll need a microphone here.
Thank you through the chair. Can I just clarify with the wording of what is to be changed in that letter? We have here with you discussed about removing recommendations, so all elements of the expansion of Roseworthy and replacing them with, and now we're removing recommendations 1, 3, and 4 from the submission.
Yeah, through the chair, 1 through 4 related to the expansion of Roseworthy. 1 through 4 related to the expansion of Roseworthy and replacing them with commentary about no further.
All the elements of expansion.
And replacing this with commentary regarding no further production of the environment food production areas.
Food what, sir?
No further reduction of the environment. And food production. Production areas, yeah. At Roseworthy. Yeah, and then the rest,
I sort of call it being the plan.
well, public member flats also included in the existing RCEC.
From the submission.
Well, the government stuff, really that, we'll do up the draft and circulate that, I think, for general things.
Thank you, Craig. Yeah, Councillor Collins.
What's the stake? I'm looking at it. Well, yeah, they've been making stuff for a while, as it's been explained on the so but are we just putting up a bit of a resistance rather than, yeah, we're trying to start down with it, I mean, is that the objection? Because I think it's going to happen anyway. I do agree we have to stop the greenfield way they're doing it, it's just expanding pretty quickly, so they could be doing a lot more high density, and so I'll support the motion, but when we're listening to lots of another thing.
Thanks, Councillor Collins. Any further questions, councillors? Thank you, Craig.
Thanks, through the chair. Yeah, I guess I can't speak on the stating it, but this will be a submission like the others, and I'll have regard through their process. Council has the previous view and previous that is the case. So it'll be a shift away from that. The other element here, which we haven't touched on, that did come up was, I guess, the emphasis of reinforcing infill over greenfield development. That can be added in the commentary as well, which I think is the sentiment that Councillor Wells was picking up on from previous the discussions on the roof session, general discussion there. Other than that, that's
certainly. Thank you, Craig.
Yeah.
Councillor Ellison. So we have a mover and a seconder. Would you like to speak to that, councillor? Any further comments or questions, councillors? If not, I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour? Those against? That's carried. Thanks, councillors. We've got our position very clear on what the submission will have in content. So thank you. Moving on. I think we're under questions on notice. We don't have any questions on notice. And we don't have any questions without notice. Are there any questions without notice, councillors? We move over to motions on notice. We do have one from Councillor Fabio on 16.1. Would you like to speak to that, Councillor Fabio?
Just very briefly. Obviously, it's pretty clear in regards to the motion. I do thank Megan Renzella for assisting me in working it to achieve the desired outcome, which I was trying to convey, but perhaps not articulating it as well as Megan assisted me with. So basically, Kidman Road, I'm not sure under the bitumen ends just short of Ross Creek Bridge, which is the Forest Bridge. The bridge has recently undergone some repairs and whatever. It's looking fantastic at the moment. Unfortunately, that section of road over Ross Creek Bridge is graded road, and it does because it's single width as well, all the traffic's focused or directed on one section of the road there, and it does corrugate up pretty quick. Part of that is obviously that when you've got a lot of commercial vehicles, like utilities and trailers and things like that frequently use the bridge, particularly when they're unladen, they get these corrugations and they tend to skip outwards. And being a quite narrow bridge, they do contact the bridge, and that has happened quite a number of times. Not to mention the oscillations through over the corrugations, probably on the here on mechanical, but I tend to believe that there certainly will be degrading the integrity of the bridge over time. So my motion is to obviously undergo or to request a report outlining the estimated cost to undertake the said works that are listed there. Any questions?
Councillor, thank you, Councillor Colin. I have a move, I have a second. So, are there any questions? Well, thank you so much for that motion, Councillor Fabio. I've experienced what you're pointing out there myself. You make a lot of extremely good points. Thank you. Are there any further comments or questions, Councillor, in relation to this matter? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against, that's carried. Thanks again, Councillor Failure. We now move into our section of confidential matters. And under section, are there any motions without notice? Oh, thank goodness. We move into our section 18, the confidential items. First one being 18.1, the Human Operations Centre. Under section 90 of the Act, we go into confidence. Do I have someone move? Councillor Michael and Councillor Allison. All those in favour? As yes, we're in confidential session, councillors.